Hello, everybody. So I'm Pietro. I'm a security engineer at Chain Security. I'm going to talk about novel on-chain oracle manipulations, specifically proposer bribing and L2 sequencer timing. These are two novel on-chain oracle manipulation techniques we found while conducting audits. So Chain Security is a research-based security firm founded in 2017 as a spin-off of ETH Zurich, the leading technical university in Switzerland. We've conducted hundreds of audits on big protocols, and we specialize on complex DeFi projects. What are on-chain oracles to start with? So, My formula is not showing. Well, now it is. I think you will enjoy the browser. So, on-chain oracles are price sources that derive their value from an on-chain market, which can be, for example, a Uniswap pool or a Curve pool. And the new price after a trade is recorded at the end of a block, and the price oracle value is computed with the last block, the last value, so the value before the last trade. So we have S of t, which is the price oracle value at time t, and it's computed as a function f, we don't know which one, of the previous price oracle, the time since the last update, delta t, and the last price. The new price at the end of the block is recorded to be used in the next oracle update. So this can be used in LTV calculations or for lending protocols, for example, or margin checks for leverage protocols. And essentially, better? Essentially, it's used to know when to trigger liquidations to enforce solvency of protocols. This can be done, of course, like with Chainlink oracles, which are off-chain oracles. This is on-chain oracles with on-chain sources. So the assumption that's done is that it's expensive to manipulate the price at the end of a block. Why? Because manipulating the price of a pool, of an AMM, means you're trading up to very unfavorable prices, and you are paying the slippage, basically, huge amount of slippage to bring the price to something very high or very low. This opens a big arbitrage opportunity. And during the next block, anybody can come and trade the other way and capture the arbitrage you created. And maybe for pools with high liquidity, this might be like millions of dollars of value to manipulate the price. And so you're paying millions of dollars to manipulate the price of the oracle just for one block, which is expensive. So this is one assumption, but there are ways to break this assumption. One way, which is known for a long time, is this multi-block MEV way. It's called like this, and it consists basically in being the proposer of the next block. So if you're the proposer of the next block, you can create a transaction that trades all the way to very bad prices in block n-1, and you make the transaction so big that no other transaction can fit in the block, for example, so you know you're not going to be arbitraging that block. And then you have your own block, which you propose yourself in block n, and you close the arbitrage yourself. So you recover the cost. You recover this $1 million spent on slippage. So this is known, and protocols assume that this is possible. So when you're using an on-chain oracle, you you always take this in consideration, basically. So what formulas are used for on-chain oracles depends. Uniswap v2 does an arithmetic average. Uniswap v3 does a geometric average or an arithmetic average of a ticks. Curve does an exponential moving average, which used a capped version of the price. So this Pn-1, the last price, is actually limited in its change. So Uniswap v2 is known to be completely vulnerable. You shouldn't really use it. It's completely vulnerable to multi-block MEV. Uniswap v3 less so, but still because of the geometric average is better than the arithmetic, but still. Curve is a bit safer. Still, so how can we increase this manipulation beyond a single block? The thing is, okay, if we hold the price over one block transition, we are in these formulas, this delta t is going to be 12 seconds on Ethereum mainnet or 2 seconds on Optimism, whatever. So one way to make the manipulation bigger is to hold the price change for longer. So, and protocols in general assume that this is hard. Why? You can try to be the proposer of, instead of a single block, multiple consecutive blocks, but this has a very high capital requirement. For example, being the proposer of, so if you have a single validator, you're going to propose on average 3 blocks per year with 32 ETH of capital, but it's very, very unlikely that you will propose 2 blocks consecutively anytime during the year. So you need a lot of capital. Of course, there are some actors that can do that. I don't know, Lido can probably propose, but they're kind of trusted. So can you buy the block space with proposer build separator? For example, pay to be the builder so that nobody can arbitrage you back? Well, not really, because you're going to be competing with other builders who are going to pay as much as they can to profit from your arbitrage. So basically, it's going to be an auction that gets to the arbitrage value. If it's $1 million, they're going to pay 999K, and they're going to profit $1,000. So that doesn't work. So first novel Oracle manipulation mechanism is to bribe proposers to self-slash. So you buy slashing proofs. How does it work? Proposer of future blocks, up to 32 blocks in advance, are known in proof-of-stake Ethereum. And they can self-slash before the time of their slots comes in exchange for some compensation for the slashing. The manipulator needs to control one block proposal. So in the next 32, you know in advance when you're going to propose. But you can pay for the block proposers coming before you to self-slash. And this will give you a guarantee that no block will be proposed at that time. In detail, how does it work? So a slashing proof consists of different signed blocks headers for the same slot by validators. It can be generated at any time, doesn't have to be generated for a block, for a slot you actually need to propose to. So it can be generated in advance. The slashing penalty is 1 ETH plus a variable part, which can be assumed to be quite small, actually. So it's 1 ETH, and yeah, the proposer that gets slashed, from the moment the slashing proof appears on the network, cannot propose anymore. So this is a bit small. I'll make it a bit bigger. No. So We are the attacker, and we know we will propose block 16 in the future. Now could be time 1, for example. We try to buy a slashing proof for block number 15. The slashing proof is submitted at block time 8. At block time 8, we are sure that block 15 will not be proposed. So this means we paid one ETH plus a premium. We got block 15 out, and we can create the arbitrage opportunity at block 14, which will get resolved at block 16. So we hold the arbitrage for 2 block transitions instead of 1. So the cost for the attacker is you have to be a staker, so you have to have locked some capital for a while, because you still need to propose 1 block, but it's fairly easy. It happens 3 times per year, just randomly with 32 ETH. The cost of buying the slashing proof for as many blocks as you want, here there's 1, but it could be, you could try 4 or 5. I mean, of course, everybody has to agree, but as we will see, they're compensated for that. So they get slashed, but you compensate them more than the slashing, and they profit. Then there's the cost of placing the initial transaction reliably at block 14, but this is fairly simple. And then there's the trading fee for the pool to create the arbitrage, but you're recovering the arbitrage. You're just paying the trading fee to go all the way one side and back. So especially the slashing proof that you're gonna pay, what's interesting and particular about this is that at time 8, when you buy the slashing proof, the seller has no knowledge of the arbitrage opportunity you're gonna create. So they don't know that that they could keep their block and extract your arbitrage. Of course, if they don't sell you the slashing proof, you're not gonna create the arbitrage, so they don't earn anything. This means the cost to buy the slashing proof does not depend on the size of the arbitrage created. You just need to pay the slashing penalty plus a premium to make this interesting. And there's no trust required between the manipulator and the bribe proposer. You can make a smart contract that does this, and it's enforced by the consensus that at block 15, nothing will be proposed. So there's no way for the bribed validator to change their mind, basically. Yeah, this is kind of hard to pull off. I mean, it needs coordination between parties. It needs a marketplace, so it doesn't happen in reality, but it's a concrete possibility at the protocol level. The second manipulation mechanism that we're going to talk about is multi-block MEV through FIFO L2s. So how does block production work in proof of work? Everybody mines every block, tries to propose. Proof of stake, the block producers are chosen in advance, depending on their stake. On rollups, usually there's a centralized sequencer that produces every block. So the sequencer chooses the ordering policy of the transactions. And some sequencers operate in a FIFO ordering, which means first in, first out. The first transaction that's received is processed. So what does this mean? There's in general no public mempool, and transactions are included on the blockchain in the order they're received. And they're revealed when the block is published. This means you can send 2 transactions back to back, transaction 1 and transaction 2. And transaction 1, and at some point, so they might be included back-to-back in the same block, or they might be included back-to-back in different blocks. And if they're in different blocks, it means you can manipulate the oracle, but you have no risk of someone getting in between, because you pushed them to the sequencer at the same time. So yeah, at the end of block n, we reveal that the first transaction has been included. There's a very big arbitrage opportunity, but we already sent the next transaction, so nobody can get there before us, and we can take back the arbitrage we created. So on Ethereum, multi-block MEV can only be done by proposers who stake a considerable amount of money on first-in, first-out L2s. Anybody can do this. There are some limitations. One is speculative backrunning. So I said you send 2 transactions back-to-back, and they get included one after the other. This is probabilistic, actually. And it happens that one transaction might get there in between. And I think there's numbers that show that it's unlikely, but not so unlikely. So if this starts being exploited, people will try to get there to get in between just randomly. So they will spam transactions that just check if an arbitrage opportunity is present, and if it is, they will capture it. And so, and this is a very big risk for an attacker. Otherwise, the sequencer at some point could choose to close the arbitrage opportunities themselves. So extract the MEV. Yeah. So conclusions. 2 novel mechanisms to achieve MEV, multi-block MEV, bribe proposers to self-slash, and time consecutive transactions, so they span different blocks on FIFO L2s. And so be careful when using oracles that rely on FIFO L2 markets as primary sources. Thank you. Yep.
So some mechanisms you mentioned are kind of close to what these Pierre Bueno brothers did. You know what I'm talking about?
Pierre Bueno brothers.
Yeah, I mean, they had a mechanism which they. Yeah, so I was asking about how this resembles the Pierre Bueno brothers. So for those who don't know, they had a mechanism where they took control of a block, then they triggered the MEV, and they made, within 30 seconds, several $1 billion, and I think like 2 weeks ago they were sent to like 10 years in prison or something like that. So beyond the incentives here, I mean, don't you think any of these mechanisms you proposed could be considered fraud and
I think they would be considered market manipulation, yes. So they're definitely illegal, but they can be done anonymously, so hackers might not care.
Okay.
But yeah, I remember this attack, but that exploited a flaw in Flashbots, I think. Exactly, and yeah. they managed to unbundle transactions that were sent to Flashbots bundled. So they could extract all the MEV themselves, especially attacking MEV bots.
Yeah, but basically they took control of a block and they rearranged it. And what you're proposing is let's have an idea of taking control of a block and doing something else, right? But,
yeah.
But the mere idea, I mean, maybe it's the mere creating a strategy that would give you control of a block, wouldn't that already be considered some sort of fraud?
Oh no, this is completely accepted, and I think most blocks in Ethereum are built by builders who rearrange the transactions in a way to profit from it. So yeah, I don't think this is a problem in that sense.
So the problem would be in the way that they rearrange the block itself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, everybody. See you again soon.